In today's video, I wanted to give you guys a quick review of the new sights and how they compare to the ones already released, to see whether or not they significantly improve the weapon's performance. On a side note, to collect data, I used the barrier in between the blue and red dummies to ensure the same distance while using each sight and scope. Also, for consistency, I aim for the head with every target. So without further ado, let's start with the Iron Vantage. This sight is exclusively for the pike. It is also a scope, it has the same amount of zoom and aim down sight speed as the default scope, but this is in my opinion definitely a better alternative to the scout, because the dot is less visually intensive after firing, allowing the player to maintain the target easily after every shot, rather than having the arrow reticle bounce and completely obstruct the view of the opponent, thus forcing the player to significantly reduce their RPM and allow the reticle to set to ensure shot consistency. The dot for the Iron Vantage, however, makes it easier to hit more headshots consistently and consecutively. Now, does this offset the nerfs that the gun just received? In all honesty, no. Still a great weapon, but if you can get used to the repeater, although it has less bullets, it essentially does the same thing, but with a hell of a lot more damage. That's if you're hitting your shots, of course. Again though, this is just my suggestion. Use what feels best for you. Next, we have the Box Prism. This sight is exclusively for the P90. It has the same amount of zoom as the Adder Reflex, but with how small the box of the sight is for the Prism, it makes it a lot harder to consistently land headshots, which is very important for the P90, because if you're close enough, the flashes caused by the bullet impact more than likely will obstruct the view of the target, making it harder to track unless you're aiming for the body, which is definitely something you don't want to do because the weapon relies heavily on landing those crits for a competitive TTK. When you compare it to the Adder Reflex, the Reflex has the same exact zoom, but with a lot more clarity. Essentially, the Prism is just like the Adder Reflex, but with a lot more visual clutter. With that being said though, the HCOG and the Red Dot sight are also better alternatives that will offer less zoom, but will make it easier to track those close, fast-moving opponents, because of the clarity and visual real estate these sights provide. But again, I know I have to mention this, if the Box Prism is working for you, please by all means use it. Don't fix what's not broken. Next, we have the Quick Spark. This sight has been added as an attachment for the BFR Titan, Revolver, and V9S. It is in my opinion a great addition, however the description is kind of misleading, much like the Adder Reflex, saying that it is a sleek mini dot built for fast target acquisition, implying that it'll make you aim down sights a little bit faster when compared to other sights, which is not the case because the aim down sight speeds are exactly the same. The only difference is that you have slightly more zoom with the Quick Spark. What I think they were trying to say is that the extra zoom allows you to see farther targets a little better, which therefore allows you to pull the target out of the environment and acquire the target faster. Or maybe even the smaller sight will allow you to hard focus, then acquire a specific part of the target, such as the head. But that's as far as my mental gymnastics will go for the day. Now this sight says it has a red dot, however it is not, it is a solid triangle instead. I honestly don't know if this is a mistake, or if they intended for the triangle to be there. Which by the way, as a side note, the bullet destination is on the tip of the triangle rather than the center of the triangle itself, which to me is a little bit weird, because it makes the bottom half of the triangle just unnecessary visual clutter. Now if they actually replace the triangle with a dot, this sight could be top tier, providing so much more visual clarity. And no, doing this will not make the red dot sight redundant or useless, because it provides more visual real estate with the sight being a little bit bigger as well as the lower zoom, which will help the player track those fast close range targets, making it a happy medium between the Iron Sight and the Quick Spark. So besides the intrusive solid triangle for a reticle, I really like this sight and found myself landing shots consistently with it because of the extra zoom, allowing weapons with it equipped to perform slightly better in a variety of ranges rather than strictly close to medium range. However, this does not mean it is better than the other two sights, because in my opinion, when it comes to engagements within 20 meters, the Iron Sight itself will always be the best option when it comes to landing consistent shots. This is especially true for the Revolver and the BFR Titan, as well as the Red Dot sight providing a lot more clarity, making it just as easy to land those shots between 10 to 20 meters. So all in all, deciding which one is the best to use is going to be up to the player's preference, because all the options for these weapons are quite solid. Next we have the Magnifex, a sight that has been added to the XP54, FCAR, FAMAS, LH1, and CB01 repeater. This sight has the same amount of zoom as the Looking Glass, Adder Reflex, and Reflector. I'm personally a huge fan of the HCOG sight, and the Magnifex is just like it, but with a thinner reticle and higher zoom. This sight performed very well with just about every weapon it can attach to, but if I'm being honest, the LH1 is the exception, and that is because of the zoom amplifying the recoil harshness, making the visual recoil unbearable unless you literally cut the RPM in half. As of now, the most optimal sight for the LH1 would definitely be the red dot sight, because of the lower zoom and visual clarity it provides, which definitely helps managing that harsh recoil. And that pretty much is it. I think for the most part, all the sights added are great additions to the game. Also, I really wish Embark provided more stats so we could have an accurate understanding of the benefits these sights provide. But hey, that's just my opinion, and who knows, there's probably a high chance it'll be added somewhere down the line. At the end of the day though, this is just my opinion. Please use what you're most comfortable with. These are simply just my suggestions. If you found this video informative, please smash that like button. I do everything from writing the script to editing these videos, and that small button helps the growth and exposure of this channel. And also subscribe for all things the finals.